Yo, what is going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're gonna be ranking all 40 brawlers in the game, from worst to best. So 40th being worst, and at number 1 is gonna be the best brawler in the game. So make sure to stick around to the end of the video so you know who the best brawlers in the game are. And of course, if you disagree with me, feel free to comment down below, and of course give your reasons why. But before you get into it, make sure you're using code TOM in this shop if you want to support me, and let's get into it. Okay, so before you get into it, I'm actually going to be showing some gameplay from the Queso Cup, which is like this pro league. So yeah, we play in there, try play in there, so it's just going to be some pro level gameplay in the background. There's quite a lot of bans, so that's maybe why you won't see some of the top brawlers. But anyway, let's start here. So at number 40, we're going to have Shelly. Shelly obviously got a second gadget, clay pigeons, but it didn't really help Shelly. Like, the gadget's awful. Thing with Shelly is that at the moment we're in like a really anti-tank meta. So like Shelly, you need it to be a tank meta for Shelly to even be decent, and even then you need to get good matchups. So at the moment it's like you can play Shelly, but you're never gonna get a good matchup really, and Shelly's not good when you have a good matchup. So Shelly is pretty much always bad in this meta. So yeah, that's why Shelly's at number 40. I mean, you can come up against Poco to a tank and have some good matchups, but yeah, it's pretty uncommon. So Shelly is at number 40. And number 39 we have Nita. Nita didn't get her second gadget yet. Maybe this will help Nita improve, we'll have to see. But yeah, Nita just not very good. Got some buffs, but you know, Nita just gets outshined by a lot of brawlers really. You know, Spike is one of Nita's biggest counters, and Spike is one of the best brawlers in the game. Of course, you have all the other top brawlers as well that kind of outrange Nita as well. Again, Nita relies on dealing with tanks well. And yeah, there's just other brawlers that are better than Nita. Like, you know, you got Spike, Amber, Colette, all these really good brawlers that are just better at dealing with tanks than Nita. So yeah, Nita is just not very good right now. Moving into number 38 then. So Jesse's gonna be at number 38. Again, just not a very good brawler right now. Second gadget helped a little bit, but still, there's just better options in pretty much every single mode. The only good thing about Jesse is when you can get that turret on safe or on the Ike. But it's pretty rare, and honestly, Jesse is so reliant on that turret, and especially when you get to high level, people don't group up. You have like 3 lanes, so I mean, maybe at low level Jesse's decent because people group up, you can get a lot of value, but definitely towards the higher levels, people just learn not to group up against Jesse, and Jesse becomes pretty useless. Moving into number 37 then, so we have Crow. Crow, not very good, okay? Just not very good. Obviously, I know a lot of people love Crow. I like Crow as well. But, you know, Crow's only really good in Showdown. There's just better brawlers. Pam as well. There's a lot more healing coming into the game because of gadgets and star powers, whatever. Pam is always going to be pretty good. So Crow's not going to be that good. Jean as well. Everyone uses Magic Plus with Jean now. And that literally just counters Crow completely. So, like, Crow just isn't very good. They're going to continue to, like, add healing things, whether it's star powers, gadgets, into the game. And also brawlers as well that heal. So I just don't feel like Crow is ever going to be that good unless Crow gets a huge buff. But then Crow's going to be really good in Showdown. So it's really hard to balance Crow for sure. But that second gadget definitely helps out because that second gadget is pretty decent. But I don't know. But I'd say this should still better. So gadget really didn't help out. But yeah, moving into the next one now. So at number 36 then we have Leon. Leon, obviously very good in Showdown. No one can deny that really. And Invisihill, the most OP broken thing about Leon. You have to say as well that the gadget of Leon is absolutely, it's pretty bad, okay? Like, that doesn't mean you can't get value with the gadget, because the gadget is still, you can still get value with it, okay? You can tank a Piper shot, you can tank a Brock shot, tank a B shot, you know, you can still get value with it. Just because the gadget's bad, it doesn't mean that you can't get some kind of value out of the gadget. But yeah, most cases that gadget is going to be pretty bad. People just learn we're going to use it. And of course in like 3v3 as well, I feel like when Leon came out, people didn't realize when like Leon goes invis, all you have to do is just group together, have at least 2 people in the same place, and Leon isn't going to be able to really take you out. So now that people have learned this as well, Leon's just not very good. You know, 3v3 Leon's not really ever going to be that good unless he's very strong, because people just learn to group up when Leon is invis. But for Showdown, Leon's always going to be pretty good there, I feel anyway. And I think that kind of goes for every brawler that brings a new mechanic into the game. Like, every brawler, no one understands how they work, okay, when they come into the game. So people kind of learn how to counter them better as time goes on, especially brawlers like Leon that are pretty easy to counter once you know how to. Anyway, moving into number 30. 5 then. So at number 35 we have a Dynamike. Dynamike, actually the second gadget allows you to actually stun people, so it's actually really helpful, and that's why I kind of read Dynamike above Leon Crow and some of these other brawlers here, because Dynamike, you know, you can actually get value on, say, if you're playing Heist, Siege, you know, you can kind of win lane against a Barley, and you can win lane against a lot of tanks as well. But the only thing with Dynamike, very, very high skill cap. You miss a few shots as well, and the enemies can get pressure. So if you can hit every shot, Dynamike has the potential to be one of the best brawlers in the game. But, you know, no one is that good with Dynamike. Even the best Dynamike players can't hit every shot, just because people know how to dupe Dynamike very, very well. So yeah, Dynamike, just not that good. A lot of counters as well. Pretty easy to counter. Moving into number 34 then. Colt, again, one of those brawlers that if you're very good Colt, you know, you can carry, okay? You can... You know, Colt, if you could hit every shot with Colt again, you could be one of the best pros in the game. Some maps as well, you can get good value of Colt. Maybe I should move Colt up a little bit in this ranking, but I don't know. Like, Colt is very good on the open map, so like heist maps, like Twist and Shoot, Kaboom Canyon, probably two of Colt's best maps in the game. But yeah, that's all I can really say for Colt. Just not very good maps. There's better brawlers, apart from, you know, those heist maps where you could probably say Colt is maybe a top 5 brawler on those maps. But yeah, Colt just not that good. Overall, pretty easy to counter. And, you know, if you know how to dodge Colt, you can dodge him pretty easily. Anyway, moving into number 33 then. So Penny, no one really talks about Penny, okay? Penny's like not too strong, not too weak, but I don't know. I feel like there's just better mids. You know, you got Piper, Colette, like every single mid. If Pam was like so good, then, you know, maybe you could see a lot more Penny, because Penny is a good counter to Pam. But honestly, we just don't see much Penny at the moment. I don't know why that is. Actually, I kind of do. I kind of like that. Potentially because there's a lot of throwers in the meta right now. Because you kind of see, when you see less tanks, you see more tank counters, and then you see more throwers, because throwers tend to counter the tank counters like Spike and Colette and stuff like that. So potentially because we see more throwers, Penny is not that good, because throwers can obviously take out that turret really easily. So maybe that's why we see less Penny in the meta than maybe other metas. Anyway, moving into number 32 here. So this kind of goes with the whole theme of talking about how this meta is like really anti-tank based. So Poco at number 32 just proves this. So yeah, just so many brawlers that just counter tanks, and you know, they didn't nerf Spike, and Spike just does, you can deal like 2.5k with one shot with Spike, and that's kind of ridiculous. Okay, that's why tanks are just not as good anymore. And also the buff to Tara, buff to Colette, Amber coming into the game as well. And you have to think about, they did like a lot of small changes to where you can get your supers easier, like super charge rates increase, super recharge rates increase, and this just doesn't help tanks. The only reason tanks were good, Poco double tank, you have instant pressure off the start of the game. You can push your enemies back straight away because they do not have supers, but now every single brawler is getting their super even quicker, so it means that it's riskier and riskier to go with tanks, and honestly it's much easier to counter them now. Completely anti-tank based meta. So yeah, that's why Poco is here. Again, we're going to see a lot of tanks coming up next here, just because they're all kind of grouped together. If one tank's good, they're all pretty good, because there's not too much difference between the tanks. It's more just, is Poco double tank good? So next one is Primo at 31. So the reason why Primo is kind of at the bottom of the tanks is because obviously, if people are running less tanks and Primo counters the rest of the tanks, really, then, you know, you don't see many tanks. Primo can't counter anyone. Primo has no good matchups. And yeah, Primo just needs tanks to counter really to be good in the meta. So that's why Primo is at number 31. Now moving in to number 30, we have Rosa. Rosa, you can definitely see Rosa on maybe a few hot zone maps, some gem grab maps, more grassy maps as well. But again, just so many counters to tanks. Don't really need to talk much about Rosa. Then at number 29, we have Frank. Frank, 10k HP. Always going to be maybe usable with a Poco to surprise people, like in, for example, Hot Zone, Brawl Ball. You know, just bring out a tank Poco, or a Frank Poco, I mean, because like 10k HP. Again, same thing with Primo. With Frank, you know, you need the counters. If you can counter tanks as well, then Frank's gonna be very good. Okay, so at number 28 then, we have Bull. Bull obviously got a new gadget, which makes him a little bit better, but I still feel like the healing one's actually better, just because paired with that shield, you're getting that extra healing basically because of that shield. So yeah, Bull actually pretty good on Siege, Heist, Brawl Ball, Gem Grab. Can be used on a lot of modes, but it's not like insane, and obviously gets countered by the tank counters, because there's a lot of them in this meta as well. So Bull pretty low here. 27, we have Daryl. Daryl is a little bit higher because in Heist, you can use Daryl bit better. You know, there's a lot of good maps for Dara now. A lot of Wulton, like Kaboom Canyon, Twist and Shoot, and GG Mortuary. 3 heist maps that Dara is really good for now. And yeah, in heist, it's kind of hard to explain, but you tend to see less tank counters because you need damage on the safe. Okay, so brawlers like Bea and stuff like that is not going to be good in heist. So you see kind of a few less tank counters in heist. But yeah, so the mainly tank counters are kind of used in Brawl Ball and Jam Grab, but obviously they're used in other modes as well. So that's why we see Dara a little bit higher. Okay, so at number 26, then we have BB. Just keep going with these tanks here because they're all basically in the same position. So BB is here because BBs are a little bit better, especially BBs can be used to counter throws as well. And there's a lot of throwers higher up on their list just because, as I already explained, they're good against tank counters. So, you know, you can counter some of the meta with these brawlers. So it just kind of revolves into like a rock, paper, scissors. Like you have tank counters, and then you have like these tanks. And you can use these tanks against kind of the counter, the tank counters. It's a bit weird to explain, but that is pretty basic meta in Brawl Stars. You have the tank counters, you have tanks, and you have things that counter these tanks. And the tanks kind of counter the things that counter the tank counters. So, you know, it's kind of like a game of rock, paper, scissors sometimes, especially when playing competitive. But yeah, it would definitely be interesting for sure. So yeah, BB very good on heist and extremely good on siege as well, and obviously can be used on Jam Grab, Brawl Ball. BB always pretty solid with that gadget as well, and the shield always gonna be pretty good. Number 25 we have Jackie. Same thing with Jackie, gonna be very good. Not on heist this time though, definitely not that good on heist, but really good on Brawl Ball and siege as well. Probably the preferred pick over BB on most siege maps. So yeah, that's why Jackie is a little bit higher here. But you could maybe put BB a little bit higher as well. Okay, so at number 24, then we have Mr. P. Mr. P is a brawler that kind of fell out of the meta. They actually didn't nerf him. They actually buffed him like tiny bit by his super recharge rate. But yeah, Mr. P never nerfed, and like he just fell out of the meta completely. There is just better mids than him. But I don't know. I feel like he's pretty underrated right now at number 24. Definitely can move up. But, you know, there's better mids. Gene, you can get pull in 3 shots. Gene's just so good. Sprout as well, really good. And I don't know, we just don't see much Mr. P. We should probably see more Mr. P. Mr. P can counter brawlers like Spike, and these brawlers a bit high up on the list. So Mr. P, people just don't like to use Mr. P. I don't know why, but Mr. P is just not that used at the moment. Honestly, Mr. P should be probably higher on this list, but people just don't seem to like Mr. P right now. Anyway, moving into number 23, we have Ems. Ems really good at countering tanks, but honestly, there's better brawlers to counter tanks with. Emzo really, really good on Hot Zone. And we have to start taking Hot Zone more seriously and considering Hot Zone because it got added into competitive and it's going to be in competitive next year. So yeah, we're always going to be talking about Hot Zone now when we make these kind of tier lists and stuff like that. Ems really good on a ton of different Hot Zone maps. So that's why Ems is here. Moving into number 22, then we have Rico. So Rico, again, great at carrying tanks, good on some Hot Zone maps, also good on Gem Grab, some Brawl Ball maps, Heist, I think as well. So yeah, it's a lot of modes there that Rico is very, very good at. But yeah, there's still better tank counters, but Rico can be good on those maps where you can get good value, especially heist maps in general. At number 21, we have Bo. This is probably one of the biggest changes ever for a brawler, going from like number 1 or number 2 to literally number 21. Maybe Bo deserves to be a little bit higher, but I don't know. I just feel like ever since that gadget, Tripwire gadget got enough to have a 1.5 second delay, you know, you only see the totem gadget being used now basically in like bounty for say like Nani to charge a super. Yeah, Bo completely dropped out of the meta ever since Tripwire was heavily nerfed. Probably they need to kind of reduce that nerf a little bit. Maybe like 0.5 seconds would be fine, because any time to kind of get out of the super is going to help you survive in some situations. So I feel like that Bo nerf on Tripwire is a little bit too much, but Bo was pretty OP, so I guess that's kind of justified. Moving into number 20 then, halfway through the list already, we have Gale. Gale, actually, with the introduction of a lot of Hot Zone, Gale's actually good on a lot of Hot Zone maps. Same with Heist, and yeah, I feel like Gale's pretty decent. Those jump pads, those gadgets, always you're gonna get value with them always. There's always gonna be some maps where you need these jump pads. Actually, GG Mortuary as well, another map where Gale can use those jump pads really, really well. Again, Gale just counters tanks, so, you know, not the best at countering tanks, but definitely you can counter tanks with Gale. But as I said, there are brawlers that are better than Gale at doing this. So moving on to number 19 then, we have Piper. So Piper, obviously pretty good on the more open maps, so some gem grab maps, brawl maps, really good in bounty. Also some siege maps, which are open. Piper's going to be pretty decent on. But honestly, there's better brawlers than Piper. Piper is a mid brawler, so... You know, Sprout is always going to be pretty good against Piper because you can tank the shots with the shield. Again, G not very good, just being able to cycle pulls as well. So better brawlers than Piper, but Piper's still not bad as well. As we're talking about like tank counters and stuff like that, Piper is not a tank counter, but Piper can kind of counter the tank counters. So Piper's good against kind of Spike, Colette, those kind of brawlers. So that's why Piper is pretty high on the list. Anyway, moving into number 18, we have Brock. Reason it's higher than Piper, or reason Brock is higher than Piper. Brock is actually pretty good on Heist as well, especially some of the new maps. Like, Brock and Piper both bad in Hot Zone, but I'd say they're pretty similar brawlers, apart from the fact that you can use Brock on a lot of Heist maps as well, just because of the Incendiary star power, giving you extra damage on the safe. And I don't know, we just see more Brock on Heist maps, especially with that gadget as well. On maps like GG Mortis, it's going to be really, really effective. So Brock at number 18. Anyway, moving into number 17 here, we have Mortis. Mortis, you know, pretty high actually on the list with a ton of throwers quite high up. But, you know, tank counters, a lot of them in the top of them. It's going to be hard for Mortis to be good. But like, as I said previously, it's kind of just like rock, paper, scissors. If you're against the throwers, it's going to be good matchups. If you're against the tank counters, you're going to have a really hard time as Mortis. But anyway, moving on to number 16 here, we have Sandy. So Sandy, actually pretty good on a lot of Hot Zone maps, gem grab maps, brawl maps. Like, not kind of crazy, but definitely decent on those maps, especially on Hot Zone as well. Sandy's one of the best brawlers for Hot Zone, I would say. And yeah, you can use Sandy on Siege as well, but not insane. So yeah, Sandy's kind of just average right now. Anyway, at number 15, we have 8-Bit. 8-Bit's actually seen a really good change, I feel like. So not as much showdown for 8-Bit anymore, because obviously the second star power got changed. So you basically go speedy now every time you use that star power and you're in the radius. So yeah, I think it's a really, really good change. So 8-Bit not as good in showdown, but really good on like Brawl, gem grab, kind of more open maps as well. And maybe even some open Hot Zone maps as well. But I definitely like this change to 8-Bit. Anyway, moving into number 14 here, we have Nani. Nani is kind of like a better version of Piper, although they're kind of similar brawlers. They both play mid, both do quite high damage, but Nani is good when synergized with that Bo totem. So in bounty, you're going to see comps like Mortis, Bo, and Nani. And yeah, that's why Nani's a little bit higher than Piper on the list anyway. Nani just good on those open Brawl, gem grab maps like Minecart Madness, Backyard Bowl, and then obviously some open bounty maps as well. Anyway, moving into number 13, we have Bea. So this is kind of where we start moving into like the tank counters. So we have a lot of them here. But yeah, number 13, Bea here. Bea is great against tanks. Obviously that new gadget came as well, where you're doing the little circles with the gadget, and it's so good. Honestly, it's pretty OP. If anything, I see Bea just going up this list as people learn how to play that gadget. But yeah, I definitely think Bea could potentially be higher as well. But you know, Bea gets countered by throwers a lot because there is brawlers that can deal with tanks that aren't kind of as like hard hit by throwers as well. The thing is, when you're playing a brawler with 3k health like Bea, it literally takes like 2 or 3 shots with throwers to kill Bea. So that's why you can't really have two. Like, Bea is not insane because it's pretty easy to counter. But yeah, Bea is definitely pretty solid right now. Anyway, at number 12, we have Pam. Pam's a great brawler, always really solid, giving you that healing on those kind of mid to open range maps like Minecart, Backyard. Pam's going to be really, really good, especially because Pam has like 6k HP, so you're not going to be as vulnerable to brawlers like Tick and throwers and stuff that normally counter those long range brawlers. So Pam is kind of just a pretty safe pick that can't really get countered or anything like that. At number 11, then we have Tara. So yeah, Tara obviously really good at countering tanks on the small grassland maps like Stone Fort and stuff like that, or Merge Fort as it's now known. You know, Tara gets is really good at the start of the game. Sometimes that's what you need to know. You need to know where the tanks are hiding, and honestly this kind of just gives no hope to tanks in this meta with Tara being this good. I think you only need 12 cards or 13. Anyway, they changed it so it's like a lot less cards to get your super. I think it's actually 12. So yeah, it's literally just 4 shots. If you hit all 3 cards, you're going to get your super. Obviously, Tara is all about the super, so Now it's easier to get a super. Tara is actually really good. Especially against, you know, tanks, as I already said. But Tara, honestly, not that good because you can get outranged by some of the better brawlers in this meta, like Colette, Bea, and Spike. I know I said Bea was below, but obviously there's other reasons as well. So moving into number 10 now, we have Tick. Now, Tick is actually one of my favorite brawlers, if you didn't know. And I feel like this is the best that Tick has ever been in any meta. Not only can you play Tick on pretty much every closed map in the game as an alternative, and potentially even a better alternative than Barley on a ton of maps, because as I already said, with this rock paper scissors game, there is a ton of brawlers that have low health, like Spike, Bea. Let's just look here for some more brawlers. Barley, and yeah, ton of those brawlers that have like 3k health that you can kill in literally like 2 shots if you hit enough of the mines. And these can actually be like, Tick can be such a good counter to some of the tank counters in the game right now. And that's not even including, we didn't even talk about hot zone. Tick is probably one of the best brawlers, definitely a top 5 brawler in hot zone. So good on some of those maps because a lot of them are closed with a ton of walls, so it does really fit Tick. And Tick's kind of better than Barley on most of these hot zone maps. But yeah, moving in to number 9 now, we have Surge. Surge, always a solid brawler. Maybe we could see Surge move down a little bit here. Maybe Surge is too high, but you know, I feel like Surge is just pretty solid. Not only because he's okay against tanks, like Surge counters a lot of the tank counters as well, also counters throwers. So, you know, these top 15 brawlers I'm looking at, and Surge has like a pretty good matchup against all of them. So Surge is like, has a decent matchup against every brawler in the game. I think that's why Surge is this high, just because it's really hard to counter him. And the best way to counter him is honestly actually with tanks. So the fact that it's an anti-tank meta, he really does well because he's good against all of these tank counters. And yeah, he's just really good in general. Okay, and so at number 8, we have Carl. Carl, again, pretty good against the throwers. So like 6k HP, not going to get countered easily by the throwers as like some of these 3k brawlers as well. So a pretty solid pick in most cases. Although, you know, you can get outranged by a lot of other brawlers in this meta. But still pretty solid. Maybe could even move Carl a little bit down in this list. But I don't know. I feel like Carl pretty solid in, you know, Brawl, Gem Grab, decent in heist, good on some siege maps, and I guess pretty solid in hot zone. So Carl is just one of those staple brawlers that's always going to be pretty solid as long as he doesn't get like a pretty big nerf. But yeah, Carl always going to be pretty good. At number 7, then we have Barley. Barley, one of my favorite brawlers, not going to lie. And Tick and Barley are they're so similar in brawlers. With Barley though, you have the gadget, which is going to heal all your teammates. So that's going to help all your lanes. And I feel like why Barley is actually higher than Tick is because Barley's kind of similar in all these modes with Tick, except for Siege. I feel like on Siege, you know, Barley is just so much better. For some reason, the maps and the way it works, Barley's just better. You can use a gadget as well, honestly, to win like everyone else's lane. Like even say if I'm a Barley versus against a Tick, I may lose my lane, but my gadget may help like the other 2 lanes win their lane. So if I'm losing mine and my teammates are winning theirs because of my gadget, then technically Barley is kind of being better than Tick. But pretty similar brawlers here. And honestly, I don't know. I was scared to put Tick too high just because Tick has never been this high on the list before. And I feel like Tick is one of the best brawlers right now. Anyway, but yeah, Barley, good on literally every siege map, good on some heist maps as well. And honestly, yeah, heist and siege is where Barley is much better than Tick as well. So that's probably why Barley is a little bit higher on this list for me. Anyway, you can't use Tick on heist really unless it's GG Mortuary. But yeah, Barley better on those modes. Also decent in Brawl. Some of the more closed gem grab maps, good on hot zone as well. So that's why Barley is as high. So number 6, then we have Sprout. Sprout is one of those throwers which is just so good. Good against the squishier brawlers, which, as I already said 10 times this video, anti-tank meta, a lot of squishy brawlers, and brawlers that don't have a lot of health. So that is why Sprout is pretty high. Sprout is probably, with Gene, one of the best mids in the game. And yeah, Sprout really good in the meta right now, and counter a ton of brawlers. Okay then, so at number 5, then we have Colette. Colette, as I already talked about, one of the best tank counters in the game right now. Colette got some really big buffs as well, so that's why Colette is at number 5 here. Still can be countered a little bit, but yeah, Colette generally has a pretty good match against everything. Really good range, good on pretty much every single open map in the game. Great on gem grab, Brawl, decent on heist, and probably okay on siege. as well. And actually really good on a hot zone on those more open maps as well. So Colette really, really good in this meta. Number 4, then we have Jean. I feel like Jean would be so much worse if you couldn't get your super with 3 shots. But the fact that you can pull someone, like hit them 3 times and get your pullback is just, it's just crazy. I think this needs enough like to back where it was, where even if it's like 1 extra shot from that 4th shot, it just can't be 3 shots for you to cycle it, because it's just, it's too good. It's too good. But yeah, Jean as well, with Max being so good as well. That's why Jean is this high, because Jean the Max combination as well with like a Tara. Max speed, literally you use a max speed when you have a Jean pull, and then you can just auto aim the pull and it's going to hit pretty much every single time with that max speed. So this is just such a deadly combination. It's not even that skillful because you can just auto aim it, as I already said. But Jean, I don't even need to explain really, like great gem carrier, great mid in Brawl Ball. A decent, actually very good on every single siege map. I would say one of the best siege brawlers. And yeah, pretty good on hot zone, but not too good on heist. But yeah, Jean just so good right now. And number 3, then we have Max. So Max and Jean, already talked about this combination a little bit. The nerf hit Max a little bit. Second gadget of Max, not too good, I would say. Yeah, I feel like the second gadget can still be used. People are gonna learn how to use it. It's quite a high skill cap gadget to learn to use. So maybe people will start using it as they learn how to use it a little bit more. Max, anyway, very good on Brawl Ball, heist, gem grab, siege, hot zone. Just named every single mode then, and that kind of explains it for you guys as to why Max is this high on the list. So at number 2, then we have Spike. Now Spike, obviously, Spike's very good, okay? The thing with Spike is it's very easy to counter Spike with like, say, throwers. Like, that's why Tick and Barley and Sprout all this high, because they counter these squisher brawlers like Spike, which are really good against the tanks. But honestly, I feel like with Curveball on like an open map like Backyard Bowl, you don't have one bad matchup in the game. Like, Spike is going to be able to hold lane against everything in the game, and that's pretty crazy. I feel like Spike just needs enough because... well, at least nerf curveball. So it's, you know, it takes a skill at least to hit your shots, because I feel like it's just too easy to hit your shots right now. And Spike should always be good against tanks, okay? Spike has always been good against tanks in literally every single meta and every single thing. But Spike, when you can do 2,500 damage with 1 shot of Spike, that means you can do like, what, 7,500. Look at that maths right there, quick maths. Yeah, 7,500 with 3 shots if you get lucky. It's just crazy. It's way too much damage, especially if you're using fertilize as well. You know, it's basically extra range for Spike. So you can pretty much outrange, I'd say, I think every single brawler in the game with that curveball. And yeah, Spike just doesn't have many counters apart from throwers. So on open maps, Spike just can't really be countered. So anyway, Spike very good on a hot zone, Brawl Ball, gem grab, heist, any mode you name it. And even on the close range maps, you can actually run fertilize as well. So you don't even need curveball. Spike's going to be even better. Number 1 then. And number 1, of course, is Amber. Even after those nerfs, I feel like Amber is still the best brawler in the game. I managed to push Amber in 7 hours 20 minutes to rank 35. And I didn't even know that if you stand like on the gadget or kind of the super, you get your super back. I didn't even know that. And we still managed to get it that quickly. So the fact that we could get it that quickly, and I didn't even know how like the star power worked, it's kind of crazy. That just shows you how broken it is. It did get nerfed, to be fair, but I just don't feel like that nerf's enough. We'll have to see. They'll get the data back and they'll make a decision whether like they think it should be nerfed more. I think they're gonna probably nerf it a little bit more, but we'll have to see. The nerfs were pretty good. Maybe need to nerf that star power a little bit. I feel like even if you can only get your super from your actual super, because you can get it from the gadget at the moment. The gadget leaves a little trail of kind of oil, and you can get it from there. And that kind of helps you work towards your first super. Even if they kind of nerf that and say you can't get it off your gadget anymore, I feel like it'd be a really good change. You can only get it off your super. And then it's going to be much harder to get your first super, much harder to keep chaining your supers. So that's the kind of change they can do. Obviously, they can nerf the damage, or, you know, whatever else they want to do to nerf Amber. Yeah, that is going to finish it there, guys. Okay, guys, well, that's going to finish it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay in the background. I'll leave a link to the stream down below, and you know, you might have not seen some of the top brawlers because they're banned in the gameplay, so just bear that in mind. I hope this video kind of gave you guys some insight into the meta and how things work with counters and matchups and stuff like that. It was kind of a long video, so thanks for sticking around towards the end of the video. If anything was like completely out of place, definitely let me know down in the comments down below. Make sure you're subscribed, also using code Tom in the shop. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.